Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to share with you my watch list for Halloween this year. So this is not a comprehensive list. So obviously I'm going to be still watching all of the Halloween movies that make me so happy. So Sleepy Hollow, Halloween, Hocus Pocus, all of the things, you know, Halloween Town. But of course, you know, I don't just want to talk about the same movies every year. And the other thing is that for October, I wanted to have a very gothic themed Halloween watch party, I guess you would say. So I'm very much in the mood for the gothic women holding onto candelabras in their flowing white nightgowns and big mansions and spooky and bumps in the night and all of that sort of thing. So I wanted to kind of theme my watch list around movies that I haven't seen before so that we can wrap it up at the end. But also, like, of course, we all want to have new movies that we haven't watched before. But like I said, I'm very much in a gothic mood right now with all of the haunted houses and the whole thing. So here I have 10 movies that I have on the list this year. Like I said, I'm still going to be watching all of the favorites, but I think I'm going to put the names of these into a jar and we can just choose one whenever we, you know, on the weekend when we want to watch something that's new, and just wanted to go for things that are very atmospheric and things that are dark, and we'll love to have the lights turned off and it's dark outside and we've got all of our candles and our fairy lights and everything lit, and stuff that we haven't seen before, like I said. So a lot of these movies are older ones, and you might be surprised at a couple of them that I haven't seen yet. But two things: number one, there's a lot of horror movies out there, and number two, we are serial rewatchers. We watch the same movies over and over all the time. So I really wanted to put together a list of stuff that we haven't seen, and some of these are fantastic classics. So let's get into the list. So the first one is The Changeling, and I've been wanting to watch The Changeling for the past several years, and I've just never gotten around to it, and I'm so excited to have this one on the list because it's such a highly anticipated movie for me, and I hear about it so much that it's a movie that's very creepy, and you know, people that when they were younger and they watched it, it just scared the heck out of them. So this is about a music professor who loses his wife and daughter to a car crash, and he moves into a long abandoned mansion by himself to grieve and, you know, try to go on with his life. And it says he's dragged into a decades-old mystery by an inexplicable presence in the mansion's attic. And like I said, this is an older one. I believe this one came out kind of around 1980. So really hoping for all of the spooky vibes with this one. And like I said, this is so highly anticipated that this is definitely, out of all of these on this list, this is definitely the epitome of what I want to be watching. And one thing you guys might not know about me is that I love old-timey music and movies. So I love watching movies from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, even outside of the horror genre. Like, I love Wuthering Heights and old musicals. White Christmas is one of my favorite movies, which is from the 50s. And so this one is kind of, it's a Halloween-y movie, it's a spooky movie, but it's from 1961 as well. So I just find that movies from that era, they're so, you know, there was so much thought and appreciation put into them, and it wasn't about, you know, just a lot of blood and guts and gore and the whole thing. So next up on the list is The Innocents, and this is one of the many adaptations of The Turn of the Screw. Of course, we had The Haunting of Bly Manor that came out on Netflix. We had The Turn of the Key that Ruth Ware did, which I read. It was a fantastic book. And there was, I believe, a BBC movie that has Michelle Dockery in it, and I didn't want to watch that one. Is that one a movie or a show? I think it might be a mini series. But this is the one that I picked. So this is from 1961. And it says, a young governess for 2 children becomes convinced that the house and grounds are haunted. So of course I know the story, but I think just having that old black and white with all of the spooky elements and the elements of just the cheesiness of it from that era as well, I think this is going to be fantastic. Funny enough, I've never actually read the original story, The Turn of the Screw. I think I have it in one of my anthologies here somewhere, so I'm gonna have to get to that, but for right now, this was the adaptation of that one that I picked. And the next movie that I picked is The Secret of Crickley Hall. And this one came out, I think in just 2012. I just looked it up and then I totally forgot. I think it was 2012. And this is based on a book by James Herbert. And unfortunately, I couldn't get into the book. I found James Herbert's writing to be very heavy and very overly descriptive. So it was kind of taking me out of the story a bit. I found it was just a little bit too dense and too heavy, and his books are huge as well. So I thought maybe the movie adaptation would be a good one to supplement, because I think the story sounds really, really good. So the story, it says, a year after their son goes missing, a family moves into Crickley Hall. When supernatural events begin to take place, Eve feels the house is somehow connected to her lost son. So I mean, like I said, this is the type of movie that I want to be watching in October. I'm so excited, and just all of the atmosphere and all of the spooky vibes. And of course, with a lot of these stories, the same thing with The Turn of the Screw, there's an element of grief thrown in there as well, which I love. And the next movie up on the list is another one from the 60s. So this is from 1964. It's called Kill, Baby Kill. And it says, a Carpathian village is haunted by the ghost of a murderous little girl, prompting a coroner and a medical student to uncover her secrets while a witch attempts to protect the villagers. So I mean, this has all of the feels. So you have the witches, you have a spooky little girl, you have this is happening in a Carpathian village, and you know, so it's a foreign village, and so you have all of the elements in here. And like I said, just the movies from this period, I think, hold such a special place in my heart, and then to throw something spooky on top of that, I think this one sounds really, really good as well. And the next movie on the list is a little bit of a departure from the rest of them. So this is called After.Life, and I believe it came out in about 2003. I haven't seen it for years. I saw it way back when it first came out, and it's not very well known. So let me know if you've heard about this movie. And it has Liam Neeson and Christina Ricci. And I mean, Christina Ricci is just so synonymous with Halloween for me, of course, with Wednesday Addams, and she played in Casper. But this movie is so great. And I mean, I've told you guys before, I've lived and worked in a funeral home. I almost ended going up into the funeral business as a career, and so this fits right in with all of that, and it's a wonderfully written movie, and I love it. I really, really do. Can't remember a whole lot about it, which is great, because it's going to be like I've been watching something for the first time here. So it says, after a car accident, a young woman caught between life and death meets a funeral director who claims to have the gift of transitioning the dead into the afterlife. And so this one just has all of the feels for me as well. It's just really, really what I want to be watching right now. I think I've said that way too much in this video already so far. But if you've seen this movie, let me know down below, because like I said, I think this one is not very well known, which is funny because it has such big actors in it. But this one was fantastic the first time I saw it, so I'm really, really excited about this. And next up on our list is The Fall of the House of Usher. And so of course this is based on a story by Edgar Allan Poe. There's a couple on this list that are based on his stories, and Edgar Allan Poe naturally is one of my favorite authors. I read him voraciously when I was younger. I haven't read it recently, but I was watching Kelsey from Slime and Slashers a little while ago, and she said that on YouTube you can get, it's kind of an animated movie. I guess it's about 15 minutes long, and it's the audiobook that's narrated by Christopher Lee, and of course Christopher Lee has such a fantastic voice. So of course that's a great way to take in the story, and Christopher Lee, like I said, his voice is just so fantastic, so he would add a whole element of his own spookiness to this. But the adaptation that I picked was from 1960, so back to my love of the 60s movies, and this one has the infamous Vincent Price. So it says, upon entering his fiance's family mansion, a man discovers a savage family curse and fears that his future brother-in-law has entombed his bride-to-be prematurely. So of course that sounds like, you know, it sounds like Poe, and I really think this is going to be fantastic. Of course, anything with Vincent Price is going to be wonderful. So the next one that I picked is also a Poe story. It's The Masque of the Red Death, and also has Vincent Price in it. He plays Prospero, and this is also from 1964. So they came out kind of back to back, and of course this is the infamous story about a European prince who terrorizes the local peasantry while using his castle as a refuge against the Red Death plague that stalks the land. So I know this story very well, but this is another one I haven't read in many years, and I think this is going to be a fantastic watch. I haven't seen this adaptation before, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of the Vincent Price right now. And the next movie up on the list brings us into a new decade, so moving out of the 60s into the 70s. From 1976 is Burnt Offerings. So this says, a family moves into a large old mansion in the countryside which seems to have a mysterious and sinister power over its new residents. So spooky house, and I love that era of 70s horror movies. You know, it's right when the Amityville Horror came out, so I'm really hoping that it's going to have all of those same sort of spooky feels, and it has that level of cheese, of course, from the 70s that we all love, those of us who love classic horror. So I haven't read the book either, so this is a completely new story to me, so really super excited for this one. So next up on the list is Crooked House, and this one has a couple of different adaptations. So one is based on an Agatha Christie story that's a movie, but the one that I chose that we're probably going to watch, I might change my mind, is from 2008, and it's actually a mini series. It's not a movie, but you know, we might watch it over a couple of nights instead of watching it all in one go. And it says, a ghost story about a cursed house. The Cursed House, Gape Manor, weaves together three ghost stories set during Georgian times, the 1920s, and the present day. So fits right in with my theme. And so like I said, I'll probably go with this one. I think the Agatha Christie one is a little bit more separated from what we're going for. So we're gonna give this one a try and see how it goes. You know, a ghost story that spans generations. I mean, it even reminds me of my haunted house that I grew up in as a child, because it's pretty much been haunted since they built it way back in the beginning of the 1900s. And the last one up on the list, I believe, is the most recent out of all of these on here. So from 2017, we have The Lodgers, and it says, a family curse confines orphaned twins, Rachel and Edwards, to their home in punishment for their ancestors' sins. Bound to the rules of a haunting childhood lullaby, the twins must never let any outsiders inside the house. So that one sounds pretty good. For such a recent movie, I've actually never even heard of it before, but it sounded right up my alley. It sounds like it fits very much into kind of the type of movies that we're going for. And this one popped up just on one list. Of course, you know, when you're looking for Gothic horror movies, they typically just have the same ones over and over, but this one popped up on one, so I thought maybe I'll give it a go. And like I said, there's 10 movies listed here, and there's a whole bunch of other movies that we wanted to still be watching during the Halloween season, so I'm probably gonna do like a jar and just pick out a movie when we want to watch something new. So we'll see if we get to all of these. I might not, but of course I'll do a wrap up after October, and I'll let you know what I thought about them all. So there you guys go. That is my Gothic horror movie themed list for Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave me a question or a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.